While we face and overcome the obstacles presented by the virus, we got whacked with additional tough news from the State Department of Education, which has decided in its brilliancy to cut the state aid of our district $2,156,000 for the next fiscal year. If I had a $30 million business and my revenues were decreased by $2,156,000, my operating costs would overcome any chance I had of keeping my head above water. I can't do that. A district has to function on what they give us. But I do have to cut at least $2 million from a budget that had additional costs built into it. Let me give you an example. I just spent a couple of days inputting all of the personnel numbers. We've had contract settlements with each and every group last spring. I'm very proud of that. I went to the budget pages and I started filling in salaries of people, and I'm panicking because the new salaries seem to be way higher in terms of the total personnel cost of the budget. But then I finally realized at about 3 o'clock in the morning that in actuality, the increases from the first years of the new contract weren't in the budget last year on the personnel lines. They were separate. So I'm inputting salaries that demonstrate not a 1 or 2 year raise, but a 3-year raise for most of our groups. That explained it. Bottom line is this: it's higher in that part of the budget, but it'll be lower in the other part of the budget. But the challenge is twofold. A, you're talking about human beings who have dedicated themselves to children, and some of them are not going to have jobs. B, you talk about programs which we've worked very hard to update our district on, and some of those get threatened. I have a governor saying that one of his main priorities is to cut local taxes. Well, sir, I don't know how a district like Hopatcong and many other Sussex County districts who've been hit hard with this great new formula for state aid, I don't know how taxes in many towns are going to remain the same, given this new news.
I think what's hardest, from my perspective, Mr. D, is we knew we were going to get hit. We had been given a heads up and a 5-year kind of outline of what our state aid cuts would be. And they were huge cuts. But we had seen those, made strategic plans to cut, had looked at it in the long term. And then last year, we saw twice the state aid cut. This year, coming up, twice the state aid cut, compared to what we were planning for. So I'm not going to tell you, it's not my decision to make what our state aid cuts are, but all I would like to see is what they tell us is going to happen actually happens. Because then we can plan. For us to chase our tail every year when the state aid comes, and we're not talking $100,000 here, we're talking twice the state aid, we're talking over $1 million less than we thought. So more cut, $1 million more cut. That's hard.
There are not a lot of places to cut the Hopatcong school budget. As I mentioned, we've already shaved by more than half our administrative team. I can't do that with teachers. We'll go from 6 homerooms to 5 homerooms in certain grade levels. I can't cut a kindergarten teacher or a first grade teacher. Those classes can't be large. enlarged by budget cuts. So it's an ugly, ugly circumstance right in the middle of the virus. And it's either going to keep me young or kill me, one or the other.
Plus, but somebody that's watching this, and I don't mean to play interviewer here, but somebody watching us is going to say, but wait a second. I heard that you had a cell tower, you're bringing in $1 million. I heard that you sold the building. I heard that's big money. Shouldn't you be just, swimming in cash? Or perhaps, if that's hyperbolic, shouldn't that at least equalize the loss?
Good point. The bottom line is those revenues, which the board has graciously allowed us to use for new initiatives, many of which were needed in this district. Those single year revenues only make the problem worse the next year if you in fact use them to sustain a pared down budget. That would be remiss on our part if we had recommended to the board to use any of that cell tower money or any of the money we're expecting for Hudson Maxim, to use that to sustain our cuts would have put us in a deeper hole next year. And it's not in the best interest of anyone for us to do that. So the new initiatives that we're implementing are replacing some of the items that have gone out of focus over the years, giving kids new opportunities. I'm very thankful to the board that we will continue to use that. And some of that money will go into our key reserves for capital projects or maintenance projects. But to use that to sustain the budget just wouldn't be appropriate. Good question, Joe. In summary, we will keep working to do what we can do within the confines of our financial reality, hopefully improving the schools day after day after day. This community has been excellent in its ability to communicate with us. We are hopeful that that will continue. We are appreciative. Thank you.